Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we have two really cool topics to talk about. Both of these relate to Tekken 8, but I do think they're both important in their own right. The first one we're going to be talking about is about scrapped characters. Character ideas and character concepts that was formed by the developers, but then they were scrapped for whatever reason. But then the second thing that I want to talk about in this video is another post/poll that I seen posted to the Tekken subreddit. This one is more so focused on gameplay, mechanics, key moves, and I think this is going to be really cool to talk about as well. So first, let's start off with every scrapped character from the Tekken series. Now this person went ahead and not only showed us the character that was scrapped, but they also gave us a little breakdown of why it was scrapped. The first character, Taekwondo Tifa. She was supposed to be a new playable character on Tekken Mobile, but never made it due to the game's cancellation. Now, I would say this is both a good and bad thing. One, she is a scrapped idea that was never able to be used, but also the fact that she never made it into Tekken Mobile means she isn't truly a Tekken Mobile character. And if they wanted to bring her in as DLC, which I think is something that's very, very likely, they can do that. Now, the thing about Taekwondo Girl. Well, first let's talk about Tekken Mobile. For those of you who don't know what Tekken Mobile is, I believe like 3-4 years ago, there was a Tekken Mobile game. And it starred Rodeo Montana. That's the big one that everyone remembers and talks about. The villain was Revenant. He was doing some stuff with Ogre, trying to take over the world, usual bad guy stuff. I was talking about how that would be really cool story DLC, like a really cool thing to add into Tekken 8 maybe, to make those characters canon, to make their stories canon, but also if they wanted to reintroduce Ogre at some point, Revenant and Rodeo Montana would be a perfect way to do that. Canonize the Tekken Mobile story. But think about Taekwondo Girl. When you talk about her being in Tekken 8, I think it's very difficult for her to be on the base roster because you have to mention Harang. The position that Harang is in right now in Tekken 7, this is like a make or break moment for the character. He's sort of having this conflict with Devil Jin. He's sort of thinking to himself, should he actually be at odds with Devil Jin or should he be allies? We saw he literally, I think he jumped in front of a grenade for Jin. That is a huge development for the character. He's been against Jin from the start and for good reason, but also their dynamic is starting to change. So I don't think they're going to get rid of Harang. One, he's a very popular character, and two, his story right now is in a very important place. But also, so if Taekwondo Tifa was to be put in Tekken 8, I think the most likely way that would happen is in DLC. And I think it would be really cool to get another version, a different variation of Taekwondo, kind of like what they did for Jin and Lita. Both of those characters are karate. Their fighting style is karate, but it's very different types of karate and they fight differently. I think it would be really cool if it was the same thing for Taekwondo Tifa. You have some other pictures in here of her different outfits, variations that would also be really cool to see as DLC. I just thought I would dedicate a big portion of the video to this because I've seen a lot of people are hyped for this idea. But let's move on. The next one you have the Zombie Bride. She was supposed to be on Tekken 3, but the staff gave up on her. She was later suggested for 6 as Miguel's dead sister, and in my opinion, I don't know why they stuck on this for so long. I mean, it's cool, but is it really that cool to where you try to do it in Tekken 3, doesn't work. You try to do it in Tekken 6, doesn't work. You try to do it in Tekken Revolution. This design is not that cool to be trying all the time. I don't know. I mean, at least they did it. They did it. They got it out the way. So now we don't have to hear about the Zombie Bride anymore. The next one. Now, I think it is good that they scrapped this because reading this description is confusing for me already. He's another animal character, but his appearance changes every game. And in Tekken 3, he was going to be a fish. I mean, if that's what this is saying, it's a good thing that they scrapped him. Of course, this picture here is very reminiscent of Yoshimitsu. I believe this is like a one-to-one copy. It would be cool if this was one of the Maji clan members, let's say in Tekken 8, if he was in the background and one of his abilities was to turn into a fish. I think that would be something funny to see like in a cutscene. But as for gameplay, now a big one. Zoe, aka the sexy female Tekken 4 soldier, was supposed to be on Tekken 5, but was cut due to her clothing being too revealing. She was later suggested for 6 and Revolution, but never made it. Harada told us her name is Zoe and she's from Texas. She never made it in because her outfit is revealing, but Kunimitsu's watermelon bikini suit. What's the difference between this and that? I've seen a lot of people drawing that comparison. If I was able to pick 2 characters to show up in Tekken 8, it would be Zoe with the fighting style of Krav Maga, and I think I probably would put Taekwondo Tifa in there as DLC. I think that would be really cool, and it's something that the community would appreciate. Of course, because the waifus out there and stuff like that, but the next one is a giant praying mantis. I talked about this in the past before too, but I do think this would be pretty cool to see, even if they just do this, like let's say if they did Tekken Force, one of the bosses can be giant praying mantis. I think that would be really cool just to give a subtle nod to it. So that's all of the scrapped Tekken character ideas from the past. Like I said, the ones that I'm most excited about is Zoe, the giant praying mantis, and Taekwondo Tifa. Now let's move on to this Tekken 8 post/poll, because I do want to talk about this as well. It says, if Tekken 8 changed everyone's moveset from the ground up besides their key moves, would you still be interested? I started wondering this when I said there shouldn't be a Dragon Ball Z Fighters 2 because they pretty much use all the source material for the characters and the next game would literally be the same thing. Yet I bought every Tekken since Tekken 3. Isn't it about time the entire roster got the Gen treatment? Just imagine how fresh the game would be if game plans with characters were completely changed. They should still keep their fighting styles. Of course, Kazuya's real life fighting style resembles Shotokan karate, but I'm sure they can change his moveset from the ground up still based on that. That would be interesting. We've been playing the same for years with our favorite characters pretty much. Sure, a tweak to a move or a new game may influence something different, but that's just one move. Yes, basically a whole new world. What you once knew no longer exists. All those years of perfecting your main has come to an end. It would be hard to swallow for some, and I understand. For me though, I'm willing to learn again. Maybe I'll play someone I never imagined myself playing. Now, I have 2 things that I want to say about this. Before, let's get into the poll. Would you be interested in something like this? 368 votes, 180 says yes, 101 says no, 87 says not sure. I guess I would put myself in not sure. I was going to say yes, but so let's talk about it. The first reason why I wouldn't say yes is because this is unnecessary. Whether it's a good idea or not, it's irrelevant. Tekken 7 has set up Tekken 8 to be one of the biggest fighting games of the next generation. So for the developers to take that head start, that good positioning, and say, you know what, let's change every fighter in the game from the ground up. That sounds like the dumbest thing you can possibly do. That's like you build a team, you go to the Super Bowl, and you win. And then next season, you're like, you know what? Let's get rid of that whole entire team and let's build a new one. It's like that is the dumbest decision you can do because it worked. It worked perfectly, flawlessly. The best it's ever have before. Tekken 7 is the most successful, popular Tekken ever. So why would you change anything? Realistically, you will want to change as little as possible transitioning into Tekken 8. So I don't really see this being necessary. I see a lot of people saying they want Tekken 8 to feel like Tekken 4. They want Tekken 8 to play like Tekken 5. When I hate saying it, but I say it to be realistic. That stuff is not going to happen. Tekken 7 is successful and they're going to copy that success, right? They're not going to make any changes. They're not going to take any risks. That's just not what these companies do. It's too risky to do something so drastic like that. But now let's move on to the second thing that I have to say about this. I think it would be really, really cool if they did do this. If they did decide to move to reinvent every character. First off, that would take a whole lot of resources and a whole lot of manpower. But also, I think that would be pretty cool to see what your character would look like basically in an alternate universe. In the universe where the moon is red and the sun is white, what would your character fight like? I think it would be really cool to see, and who knows, you may end up liking another character, or you may end up liking your character even more. I don't doubt that there's some potential in that, and I do think they should do that for certain characters. Certain characters should get a total revamp, a total rework. I think their gameplays, their fighting styles, their moves, some characters are just outdated, and I think they need to be revamped and reimagined for a new generation, for a new era. Easy to use characters is dominating, and a lot of the characters that are super complex and complicated and difficult and all that, they're getting blown out the water. I see it both ways. One, it probably would be really cool to see that. Two, it's very unnecessary for them to do that. So I said I would put myself in not sure, but realistically, I think I would have to put myself in no. The gamble is too high. The risk of them messing up a character is very, very high. Especially, that's the thing, going through and touching all of them, Eddie, King, Ryan, Yoshi, there's so many iconic fighting styles. It wouldn't turn out pretty. I don't know, I think there's something to this. Some characters should get this treatment and some characters shouldn't. But at the same time, that's why we have DLC. That's why we have new original characters. To go back to Taekwondo Tifa, if she was introduced as DLC with a brand new moveset, she basically would be Harang reimagined, revamped. Exactly what this is saying, but you have both. You have the best of both worlds. You have Harang, the original, and then you have Tifa, the new generation, so they can still do this, but also they don't have to they don't have to take the risk of getting rid of the original, which is very, very important. Another example I just thought of is Raven and Master Raven. Yes, those characters have some similarities, but it's just kind of different. I don't know, I see both sides of it, but I think that's going to be it for this video. I just want to talk about these two things because I think both of these are interesting and there is a lot in there to dissect, and in this video I just wanted to do that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. KO.